Hi, my name is Dawn Miller Walker. I own a company called Science Eye down here in Southeast Florida. And what I normally do is I take kids out to the Everglades for an all-day outdoor adventure, in-depth learning. I take kids to the beach. I do programs in the classroom, different types of scientists. I have a marine biology background and a fisheries background. I do teacher workshops. I go to conferences. So basically everything I do is hands-on and in person. And obviously with everything that just happened here with COVID-19, a lot of us have had to change things up a bit. So what I've had to do is teach myself how to use Zoom. I've logged on before, but it's one thing to click a link that says join this meeting and then get on the meeting and talk or do what you have to do. But then all of a sudden I'm having to run meetings, I'm setting up a class, and I did not know how to use Zoom that well. So I've gone through and I've self-taught myself how to do a lot of different things, and I thought that, well, if I went through this process, I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who are great at doing things, but haven't actually quite got the whole concept or down how to use Zoom exactly. So I've put together a tutorial. I've actually broken it down into 3 sections, and that way, hopefully, there's whatever my struggles were, you don't have to struggle as much, or I can answer something. Some of you, it might be too basic for you, and you need more information. I'm still learning as I go, but hopefully this will help you a little bit to kind of get started and get yourself going to do Zoom programs.
All right, so there are different ways for you to log into Zoom, obviously zoom.us, and then you sign in. You can also, once you're in there, you can go up to host a meeting with video on, and then you'll get the pop-up window. With that pop-up window, you can do a lot of stuff, even starting from here. My suggestion when you're new is to do this and just start here and kind of play around and do some different things so you can kind of get the hang of how to use Zoom. If you have a Mac, I've been using it enough, and it automatically put the icon up there, and I can start the meeting with the video from there. I'm in Zoom for a few different organizations, just not just the free one. And so through this college, there's a couple ways that you can actually get to Zoom to get to that same picture. Once you're in Zoom and you want to try and invite somebody else in, maybe to help you or while you're practicing, you can come down here to participants. You'll get the participants window up on the right. You click invite, and then all of a sudden you get this pop up. You can go to copy invite link or copy invitation down there on the left, or you can simply just click email, and then you'll get this sign, this page. You can click on the email you want, and then it'll automatically open up your email and you can send out, and it already has the information in there with the meeting. If you're already in the meeting and somebody's calling you on the phone, they can't get to their email, or they're in their email and they can't find it, whatever it is, you can just go up here. You're already in the video, you hit the I, and it pops up all the information. Now you can tell them the meeting ID because they went to the join. You tell them meeting ID, you tell them the password. If you just want to copy the link and email it to them real quick because they texted you, I don't know. But there's a lot of different ways you can get into the meeting. Here are some different settings that I went through just to get you started.
All right, this area over here is where you can, when you log into your Zoom account, you can go to some various settings for different aspects of your account. So with the settings, there's a lot of things in here that you can check out. Some of them I like to have on at all times, like host video and participants video on, as well as both audio types. I'm not going to go through every single setting on here, but point out some of the ones that I like to use or not use. I don't want someone joining before myself personally. I like to require the meeting ID numbers just to keep it safer, as well as having a password when scheduling new meetings for instant meetings, joining. Then you come down a little bit further. I don't need any reminders. Some of these things have already been on there and I don't even know about. I like to have the chat on for sure, as well as having a private chat and auto-saving them. Sending the notifications, it's nice to have a sound for the host and the co-host so that you know someone's sitting in the waiting room and they're not just sitting there waiting for you to go in there. I haven't tried the file transfer, but I put it on so I could use it. Having a co-host is very helpful, especially if you know there's going to be a lot of chat going on. And also if you know you have to leave early, because then that allows somebody else to take control as host if you have to leave. This polling is for the pro version, and I love it. I just started using it to make my programs more interactive. Screen sharing, I have it already set that the host can only do it. I can change it in the meeting if I wanted to all participants, but I like to leave it starting off with just the host. The annotations for being able to write things on there when you want, as well as with the whiteboard, those are useful. The remote control is good just because of the fact that it allows somebody else, if my co-host, if I can control it for them, if they had to step away or whatnot. Again, you can go through these and read them. Renaming themselves is good. I'm going to be working with kids, and I'm going to rename them because they might sign under their parent or grandparents' names. So by being able to rename them or having them rename themselves, it makes it more personal when you're having that kind of a meeting. If there's something that's a problem, I would definitely want to be able to report them to Zoom so that they can't do anything else. The remote support, I haven't tried that yet. The closed caption is great if you know you're going to work with people that are hard of hearing. You can use somebody else to type in the captioning or use a third party. I turned it on just in case I needed it. I don't want anybody else using and being able to get a hold of anything. I love my virtual background. You'll see that I have one on some of the Photoshops, photo pictures that I took or screenshots. A lot of these were already off. I left them off. In the United States, it was already there. I enable the waiting room for sure because I don't want anybody just being able to pop in. I want to be able to admit them in for most of my meetings. When you go to set up a meeting, you can change that if you want, but in general, I want mine automatically on. I haven't done the live streaming, but I turned it on so if I ever need to. And then some of these, just getting notifications if any of these type of things happen. So I went ahead and turned them on just in case somebody above me at the college canceled something. That way and they forgot to tell me, I'd at least find out. I don't know what some of those are. And
so there's a lot. I have a little bit more in there on some of the different other settings, but there are a lot of different settings that you can go to once you're in there. And then you get here to this one, and over here I clicked on meetings and got out of the settings. And this is where then you can go in and schedule a meeting. And this is the big part. This is the main thing that you want to do because all that was pre-set up. Once you do that and you're logged in and you're in here, you're ready to schedule a meeting, you click that. You're going to want to name your meeting. You're going to want to give it a topic because when you have all kinds of different meetings scheduled, you want to know which one to grab from or what the name of it is. You can always add in a description. It's obviously important to put in the date and the time, how long your meeting is going to be. And I'm down here in Southeast Florida, and I'm working with the college that's out in Arizona. So I'm putting my time zone for what time it starts on my time, and then it should adjust according to their time for where they are. You can also do a reoccurring meeting. None of mine, I do mine all my meetings are individual. You can do a pre-registration, where if you were doing this with the public and you wanted them to register, you could do that. All of mine they're already doing a different type of registration. The meeting ID and meeting password I leave as is because I want to first make sure that there is one, but I just let it generate itself. Here, when you don't preset it to where the video is automatically on for the host and the participant, it starts off as off. I always turn mine on, and I even did that in the presetting. I left the both on, as I mentioned in the presettings. And again, here is the enable waiting room. Again, to keep things safe for everybody, I enabled it. Now, if you want to allow another host, again, I talked about why having an alternative host is important. So you can type that in here. In the pro version is where you can add polls and questions. And after you get this all set up, if you add them after you've done all this, then you can click save and you can move on. So to do the poll really quick, just to show you what it looks like if you added one, you would enter in the poll name, you would enter in the question. You can choose whether it's a single choice, which means they can only answer one, or a multiple choice, which means they can have multiple answers. They like all these things. And then you can type in 10 options. So if you want to add another question, that's how you do it. So here's an example. I typed in the name of it, Zoom Polls 1, so I gave it the title. Anybody, the question is anybody can do it. Now, anonymous just means do you want to collect their names for it, or they just answer and it's, you don't see who answered what. I chose multiple choice, and then that way they can answer both of those if they wanted to. And then here I added a question. So once I added another one in, and then I hit save. So I typed everything in, hit save. So here's an example where I added a poll, I put the names in, I put whether it was anonymous or not, and then you can see all the different questions that I put in. Some of them are multiple choice, some of them are single choice. It doesn't matter, but you can see that I went through the steps of adding them all in. So after you click save and you've done your polls, this is what it continues to look like. So you can add it into your calendar automatically, which is great because then I don't have to copy and put it in there myself. It'll just automatically do that. You can copy the invitation to send out to people by copying this link over here, or you can click on copy invitation. When you do that, you get this screen. And here it gives you literally everything you need for that particular meeting. I like to then just copy meeting invitation and then I paste it into wherever I need it, whether it's a document or an email that I'm sending out, and then delete the parts that I don't need. Here it just shows you that the host and participant video is on. I left the audio on, enabled meeting room. There's the Zoom polls, and I can go in there and add, delete, and edit all of those Zoom polls if I so desired. This particular meeting I can delete. Maybe it got canceled for whatever reason. I could save it as a template. Again, I like to make every one of them individual to themselves. I can edit this meeting, or I could even join now. I happen to be in Zoom and I wanted to start the meeting early or whatnot. What your basic page looks like after you've set up your meetings is you have your you have all that information and all the meetings are listed. That's why you named them. So those are where it says topic, those are the names. And then again, when you join the meeting earlier and I showed you how you add the meeting, give them a meeting ID and the meeting password, they can join the meeting. That's where it's at. And then you can give them a password. Now, what you should be able to do to help them, to get them through as a host, you need to be able to tell them how to mute, video, chat, do the side-by-side view, and record. I'm going to cover those in the other within the other two basic videos. Just make sure that when you're ending, that you don't just close down your laptop or walk away. They can hit leave to end to leave their meeting. You can even hit end meeting for all, and it just ends. And that is up to you. I suggest you don't just all of a sudden abruptly stop it. Maybe give some people a heads up. People want to chat a little bit. You give them a heads up, hey, it's time to go. And then you could hit end meeting for all, or just wait for them all to end their own meeting and then end it all for yourself. So that's it. I'm hoping that this is useful and helpful for the basics. I know that there are some of you who already knew all of this and just kind of checked it out. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen, and hopefully it can be of assistance to you. Good luck.